You might remember that we had one about reducing waste at the beginning of the year, and I'm pretty sure that we can connect this one to the last one as we go. First of all, I would like to thank, well, besides the two panelists that we have today, Ilana de Villers and René Mathieu, and they will get properly introduced by our moderator. So thanks a lot to the two of you for joining us, finding time for this important topic and being willing to share your thoughts and ideas with this group. And then as well, let me thank the two faces behind this and who are going to take us through the evening as well. Ebru Carter, who is not only going to be the moderator for tonight, but who has been pushing this initiative over the past years, year and a half probably, who's a co-founder of the Community Impact Challenge initiative at INSEAD. Really happy to have Paulo Senes in the room as well. I think I consider him as being the father of this, certainly one of the fathers of this. So thanks a lot, Ebru, for volunteering a bit last minute, to be honest, to moderate tonight's panel. And then a big thank you as well to you, Gigi, for taking up the challenge to coordinate all the Q&As that we'll have from your side. So this is not meant to be a silent session where you're just watching this as if you would be watching TV, but we want you to interact with us. Now, with up to 60 people in this chat, it might actually be a bit difficult to all speak at the same time. And that's going to be Gigi's role to go through the chat and go through your questions and try to find the right moment to ask those questions to our panelists. So if you have questions, feel free to just opt for the chat option and ask your questions there. There's a bit of housekeeping rules that I was asked to share with you as well. So please try to remain on mute throughout the session. Again, like the chat is there for you to interact with us. And we'll ask you as well to disconnect your camera so that we have only the 5 faces that we want to have on the screen. So we'll give them slightly more space. Well, that's it. That's it from my side. I'm really, really excited to hear about this topic. And I'm really excited to engage with all of you on this topic. And with that, Ebru, passing it on to you for taking us through tonight.
Thank you, Paul. So yeah, my name is Ebru. I'm a Gemba 18. For everyone from INSEAD, that means something. For the other, it's not that important. I'm an INSEAD graduate, and I welcome you from Luxembourg. I joined the CIC almost exactly a year ago. The CIC, the Community Impact Challenge, so we call it CIC, was founded in 2019, based on the idea from Catel Le Goulvin and Paulo Senes. And what we're doing is we're engaging the INSEAD community with bit-sized challenges that addresses environmental goals aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Our vision is by 2030 to lead the community to become carbon neutral. And the community used to span only the INSEAD community, but we are reaching out far beyond INSEAD already, and we hope that we can create a much bigger ripple effect or waves in and around our communities. We kicked off, as Paul mentioned, in January 2020 with the Sustainable Food Single-Use Plastic Challenge, which involved over 2,000 community members who then influenced 181,000 people around the globe in 90 countries, and which also influenced and made participate our 250 companies and several double-digit circular economy projects. Our second challenge now is called the Sustainable Food Habits Challenge, which really looks at 3 pillars, which is 1, what we eat, you know, how many animal products do we really need and should we eat? What is healthy for us? What is healthy for the planet? Where does our food actually come from? What is the carbon footprint of the food that we eat? And how much do we really need to buy? And how much should we throw away from the food that we bring into our house? Numbers from the FAO say that 1/3 of the food that we actually should consume is being thrown out and is being wasted. The challenge, which is akin to the first challenge, the challenge is open to all and can be accessed through a link that Gigi is kindly going to post in the chat. So once you click the link, you can register to the challenge. It's going to be a fun challenge because we have partnered up with a climate app that was just this week announced as being one of the top climate apps in Germany. You can also learn more about who we are and what we do on our brand new website, communityimpactchallenge.org. For the occasion of this challenge, we are creating webinars, a series of webinars under the head of the CIC Academy. And we are collaborating generally with the NAAs, that means the National Alumni Associations from INSEAD. We try to learn from the experts that we're speaking to, but we're also trying to inspire our communities and educate them and help them understand what they as individuals can do in their personal lives or as business leaders to reduce their carbon footprint. And for this occasion, for today, we have, we're welcoming Michelin star chef, René Mathieu. He was again chosen this past weekend as the best chef 2021 for cooking vegetables. He's joined by his associate since several years, Mario Willems. They have a long history going back, but since a few years, they're actually working together. And they're working together because they're sharing the philosophy of sustainability and sustainable consumption. We have also here Ilana de Villers. She's the founder of a very great company called Food for All, a company that is really connecting consumers and distributors, so retailers, to market unsold food in order to reduce food waste. So, something that was not mentioned by Paul, which I will do now, is we will have a bilingual session today. So it will be French and English. We will ask the questions in English for everyone, and I will state the question afterwards in French. René will respond in French. So for those who speak French, no problem at all. But in any case, we have Mario who will then also translate to us René's responses. All right, so when sustainable food habits exist, what can it bring to individuals, businesses, and planets? That is what we're going to talk in our first part of this session. Since when has sustainability had a place in your strategy, René? René, oui. Le développement durable est-il un pilier de votre stratégie?
Absolument, absolument, parce que bon, nous il faut d'abord que je pense que le problème, c'est que quand vous êtes dans un endroit, il faut manger local. Donc, ça, c'est quelque chose qu'on privilégie toujours. Bon, maintenant, il y a le fait aussi de dire de la consommation durable. Il y a plusieurs plans qui existent de ça. Hein, on peut uniquement parler de la culture, mais aussi parler du côté social. Il y a beaucoup de choses à développer dans l'alimentation durable. Mais bon, c'est notre base à nous, puisque nous travaillons uniquement avec les produits locaux, produits Luxembourg de préférence, parce que je pense que ça ne sert à rien d'aller chercher tous les produits au bout du monde si on veut faire ce genre de réflexion. Ce genre de réflexion, c'est justement, ça doit être local. Et quand nous, on pense local, c'est vraiment tout. C'est aussi bien travailler avec les gens locaux, mais c'est aussi les produits locaux. Ça va vraiment très, très loin. Donc, je pense qu'on a beaucoup de choses à apprendre de tout ça. Beaucoup, je pense qu'il y a aussi le fait de la... Je vais peut-être laisser parler Mario, parce que autrement, il ne va pas se retrouver. Vas-y, Mario.
Mario, you have to unmute.
Okay, hi everybody. So the first part of the answer of René is that local food is very important. There's no point in bringing food from around the world. The ecological and the carbon impact from that is enormous. There's no need for that. Food that we eat locally is of course also bringing in local producers and bringing in a local economy. And the food we eat can have different culture and social influences, but there's a lot of development he does to try to keep a lot of the producers and the produce local. Ok, René?
Oui, ok.
Tu peux continuer.
Ok, d'accord. Je suis en train de... Oui, okay. Donc, pour moi, l'alimentation durable aussi, ça nous permet d'avoir une nourriture beaucoup plus saine, puisqu'elle est locale. Donc, si elle est locale, c'est aussi le fait de manger sainement, les besoins aussi santé, parce que si on est ici, si ça pousse ici, c'est que ce sont des besoins pour notre santé. Donc ça, c'est hyper important aussi dans la consommation durable. Il faut absolument manger tous les produits qu'on trouve autour de nous. Ça, c'est hyper important. Et je trouve que cela devient vraiment impertinent de vouloir manger des produits qui viennent du bout du monde. Voilà, aussi, ça permet aussi le développement durable, c'est le développement des petites entreprises locales. Donc ça, c'est vraiment intéressant aussi de les guider, de mener vers, de les faire grandir en fait avec nous. Donc ça, c'est hyper important, de faire grandir les petites entreprises, les petites structures. Moi, je suis contre les grandes structures, donc je veux vraiment aider les petites structures. C'est comme ça qu'on arrivera, parce que les grandes structures, c'est impossible. Tout le monde veut avoir à dire, tout le monde veut monopoliser quelque chose. Que les petites structures, voilà, on peut encore se faire confiance et on peut encore partager plein de choses. Voilà, Mario, c'est à toi.
Okay, then René talked that to have sustainable food, we have to eat locally, and also it helps us to stay healthy. Because it's important that wherever we live, the food that grows around us is the food that is growing there because we need it, our body needs it. The impact also of using local food is that, of course, it promotes local small businesses. René's point is that it is against these big enterprises that bring food from around the world and that are established everywhere. He prefers to have local small communities going. And also it will of course reduce all the waste because we have all responsibility as a citizen to make a big impact on all of this.
Thank you, Mario. Merci, René.
De rien.
Quel est le rôle des entreprises dans le développement durable, Ilana?
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much for this question. I'm going to jump on.
I'm sorry, I should say the question actually in English.
I'm French, so no.
Yes, but for the rest of the community. So I asked the question, how does Ilana see the role of corporations today in promoting sustainability? Thank you, Ilana. Please go ahead.
No problem. So I think actually corporations and individuals have the same level of liability into promoting sustainability. Well, big corporations, on the contrary to Chef René Mathieu, I'm working with multinational companies. And I know it is very, very difficult to get things changing, but it's not impossible because big multi-companies are changing currently in order to show to the rest of the world that it is totally possible and feasible. The role for an organization to promote sustainability is crucial. Without these leaders showing that it is possible, well, the rest will not follow. Then it leads to the topic, your comfort zone, right? It's easy to stay in your comfort zone and not go outside of your comfort zone. So if these big players are not showing to the rest of the world that they can get out of their comfort zone, because it's not a comfort zone for everyone, it's globalization. A lot of companies and countries are dependent on the production of food of other countries. For example, the US is the one that exports the most wheat in the world, in the world. So we also need to think about globalization and what it has led our generations to do. I totally agree that we need to eat local and all of that. That is undoubtedly the solution, definitely the case. But we should not forget that certain countries are dependent on the production of food of other countries, right? So this is really something that needs to be underlined, and we need a big changement there. And the changement will not happen in 2 years. This is impossible. Changement needs to be done way beforehand on the production level and see actually the particularities of each single country that produces or not food. Now, regarding the role of these corporations, it's actually to show that everything is possible. It's to show that you can eat local, and it's also to lead the fact that they can also put these products, these local products, in their spaces. But then there is a question of who is capable to buy these local products? Should we not forget the price of local products that are way higher than products that you import from other countries? So it is a very, very tricky question. This sustainability food habits is very tricky and very complex and particular. But yes, corporations are the leaders and should show to the rest of the world that you can do it. Thinking and acting are two different things. People want more sustainable food. People would like to buy more organic products, more healthy products, right? But are they capable to do so with the prices? No. And especially with this corona crisis that is hitting a lot of people are losing their jobs. People are losing their financial means. So we should also be careful and also respect the corporations that are doing everything to diminish the price in order to get access for all of the people of the world to quality food. And it's not something that is easy, not at all. So I do believe that yes, corporations are the leaders to show that sustainable food habits can happen, and they should do it.
Thank you, Ilana. I think also corporations can, in their practices, when they source the food, look at their sustainability. I don't think it's just limited to how locally we source as individuals, but it really stretches to what are the sustainability practices this retailer or this food manufacturer is looking at, and what traceability and transparency are they offering for the food that they're selling to us. Definitely. Which brings us down to the second pillar that we're looking at. What do we know from the food that we eat? How much do we know from the food that we eat? How much do we know about the farmers who are growing this food that we eat? Okay, moving on to our second question. In a nutshell, what is the most compelling argument you can make for promoting sustainable food habits? René,
Oui.
c'est pour toi.
Ok, d'accord.
Quel argument utiliseriez-vous pour convaincre les gens d'adopter des habitudes alimentaires durables? Un seul argument de vous.
La réflexion. Réflexion et être un consommateur et pas un consommateur. Voilà. À toi, Mario.
That was very short. So The one word René is using is reflection. So think about it. I didn't hear the last word because I was writing down his answer. So, tu peux répéter la dernière partie, René?
Disait, il faut être consomme-acteur, donc acteur de la consommation et pas consomme. Quoi.
Ah, okay. So that was a French word play on the word. Okay, yeah. So what he means is that people have to start thinking if you want to have a sustainable solution going. Not just follow the masses, just think what you buy, think why you buy them, and make sure that you're conscious about the impact what you buy and how you use it.
Merci.
Moi, je peux encore continuer?
Bien sûr.
Oui, oui. Moi, je pense que ça, de toute façon, c'est quelque chose qui doit changer dans nos mentalités aujourd'hui. Et moi, ma philosophie aujourd'hui, c'est de me dire manger ou se contenter de moins, mais mieux. Et je pense que ça, c'est une réflexion qu'il faut toujours avoir avec soi. Je me contente de prendre peu, mais mieux. Et je pense que ça permet de pas de gaspillage, ça permet de mettre beaucoup de choses en avant. Et je pense que c'est vraiment important aujourd'hui de pouvoir dire, il faut chaque jour que tu vas faire tes courses dans ton magasin, dans une grande surface, ou que tu vas chez un petit producteur, tu dois savoir déjà ce que tu veux acheter. Ça, c'est hyper important. Les gens, en général, ils savent pas ce qu'ils vont acheter. Ils savent pas ce qu'ils vont consommer. Donc voilà, je pense qu'il y a un manque d'information, il y a un manque d'éducation aujourd'hui de la nourriture.
Et selon vous, quel est le risque majeur de rester dans le statu quo?
De rester comme aujourd'hui, si on reste comme aujourd'hui, je pense que ça va être une catastrophe. C'est déjà une catastrophe planétaire au niveau de l'équilibre, de l'équilibre, comment on dit
Entre la planète et
la planète,
nature et les
l'équilibre de la
humains.
planète. Donc, c'est déjà, quand on voit tout ce qui se passe, maintenant, il ne faut pas mettre tout non plus sur le compte de tout ça. Je suis bien d'accord. Mais je pense qu'aujourd'hui, on a exagéré. On a tous exagéré. Et je pense que si on veut que cette planète continue à vivre, qu'il y ait encore une vie sur cette terre, il faut absolument changer sa façon d'être. Mais ça fait, je pense, des dizaines d'années qu'on le dit. Mais maintenant, il ne faut plus le dire, il faut vraiment agir. C'est maintenant qu'il faut le faire. Mario, à toi.
Okay, so coming back on the first part of the answer from René is that his philosophy is to have less but better. People when they go shopping, they have no clue what they're going to buy, and it's better to know what you're going to buy. Prepare. Just don't fill up your trolley with different goods without knowing why you need them and how you're going to use them. We need to inform the clients. We need to inform people and educate them on how to use certain produce, so that they can use the produce better, local produce better. The second part was that what is the situation? And he thinks it's a catastrophe for the moment. People have been overusing a lot of produce and regions and nature. The balance between nature and humans has been broken for the moment, he thinks. We've exhausted nature. There is no balance anymore. So we need to calm down, we need to think, and we need to be able to plan so that our future generations will be able to get a better future.
Thank you. Ilana, what is your take on that?
Well, I totally agree that promoting sustainable food habits, you cannot do it like this. You need to educate people. You need to react. People want to know where the food comes from, and there is clearly a lack of transparency, and that is playing a lot. For the most competing argument for promoting sustainable food habits would be actually the following: we only have one planet, and we should preserve it. So if we don't do it now, well, people, the next generations will die and they will not be able to live what we lived. And of course, people need to be educated on this topic. But now the question is, what is the flow of information? Do they get too much information, not enough information? There is a lot of paradoxical information that is going into the market. Clear example, practical example, Best Buy and Best Before dates. Nobody actually knows in reality what it means. Why? Because they are changing the terms a lot of times. And it complicates the understanding of consumers regarding sustainable food habits. But sustainable food habits is not only buying local, organic, it's also, as Chef René Mathieu said, buying less. Okay, you can also buy in bulk. Sustainable food habits is also to avoid plastic, taking into account the CO2 impact, and all of this. So sustainability is really on different layers of your life, and from food habits to your general habits, sustainability is needed. That is really, it should be part of your life, definitely. And it's something that we are getting onto, but unfortunately, mass consumption is still present, right? It's still leading the world. So instead of just going against mass consumption, why just not better mass consumption and give them the tools to have sustainable food habits and transform mass consumption into qualitative consumption? That is a mission of a lifetime, but it's totally feasible. And this is our mission in our company.
Just to follow up on that, would you say that maybe the lifestyle of the people working long hours, family at home, being stressed, can't go to the shop every evening, what influence does our general work style that we have, that we're living, has an influence on how sustainable we are actually eating?
It has definitely, it has an impact, and it's probably one of the leader factors of why we are not doing so. I'm going to take you an example. In the UK, the kitchens have reduced in sizes of 70%. When you are a UK citizen, you go 50% do your grocery shopping, or 50% you order online for food restaurants, right? Because you're working over hours. The work today has such an important place. We are passing more time at work that we are doing in our private lives. So again, the role of corporations to promote sustainability is super important, because if it doesn't happen at your workplace, how can you replicate it to your place? And I'm going to give you another example. We're in Luxembourg, right? If we finish our workday around 7-ish, we're lucky. Around 8-ish, it's probably most the case. So you go out of your workplace and no supermarkets are open, right? So again, it's everything is impacting our sustainability food habits. And I think it's a global work that needs to be done, from legal to corporations to individuals. Everything is linked.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Let's do a reality check. Despite the business case for having sustainable food habits and reducing food waste, it seems that in practice, the food waste continues to be very alarming. As I mentioned, FAO reports 1/3 of global food that is made for consumption by human beings is actually being wasted, while we know that almost around 1 billion people today don't have enough food to eat every day. So there is this injustice, and that's another topic, I guess, which we don't want to open up here now, but at a global level, it seems that sustainability has failed to convince businesses about the long-term benefits for them as well, in addition to the benefits to the planet. So from a financial perspective, Ilana, what do you think is holding companies back? Why do they not sign up to become more sustainable? We see that more and more companies are pledging to be sustainable. I read a number, 1/3 of the Fortune 500 companies, only 1/3, have pledged to to become sustainable? Why is it not half? Why is it not 2/3?
So I'm gonna take your question in two parts. First of all, yes, a lot of quantity is lost per year, and this could actually feed 10 billion of people on Earth. So since we're 7 billion, I think we're overproducing for more people to come on Earth. So this is even more shocking if you take it like this. Now, I think the approach of businesses regarding sustainability is wrong. Why is sustainability considered as a side part of business? Why is it not the core business? That is the first question. It doesn't mean that you're doing sustainability actions that you can't lead to profits, right? This is totally wrong. And actually, you have certain leaders of the market that consider sustainability as part of their business. Walmart, as shocking as it is, has this objective. Ahold Delhaize as well. Pal Center here in Luxembourg. So Monoprix, Naturalia, sustainability is part of this businesses. It's not a side business. Now, why are companies failing? Well, I would just go back to the simple law of the offer and the demand. There is not a lot of offers in sustainability on the markets. Mass consumption is unfortunately and what we're living into, right? Sustainability solutions are unfortunately very costly today because the offer is not there. The more offer there will be in sustainability solutions, the less the price would be. And so then the acceptance and the integration of businesses from these sustainable solutions would be faster and would be integrated immediately. Now, saying that it has failed, no, I don't think it has failed. I think we don't have enough background to analyze if it has failed or not, because not a lot of companies have integrated sustainability solutions in their daily business habits. Nonetheless, they are all going towards this movement, right? We have the sustainability goals, we have the WEC goals that will be discussed in Davos in January, if it still happens because of Corona, we'll see. But nevertheless, it is part of the business. Businesses are now understanding that sustainability is part of the business and not a side business. But it also takes time. Since how long are we working like this? Since how long? That is also the question. We cannot ask an elephant to sprint like a tiger, right? It's exactly the same. They need time. You have processes. It needs to be integrated. It needs to be analyzed. All of this takes time, definitely. So failing, I would not say failing. I would say it's on the go. I would say it's new. It's not something that is super recent. So it takes time, and we should give the time for the businesses to analyze and adapt to it, and give them the time to actually put sustainable actions into their daily businesses. But now, why are they not doing it? Well, money-wise, it's more profitable to go in a non-sustainable solution than to a sustainable solution. You know, the plastic that you use, for example, to conserve food. You have a lot of different solutions on this planet, from banana leaves, from les algues, I don't know how you say that in English.
Algae.
All of that. So all of these solutions that are on the market but are too costly. So the thing is, they need to find ways to diminish the cost of these sustainable solutions and then to mass market it. The world is not composed of 10 people. We are composed of 7 billion people. So again, this means mass market. This means mass marketing sustainable things. And the question is, would that be sustainable though, if you mass market it? So again, you know, you have so many questions around it, but I'm not a pessimistic person. On the contrary, like this, our mission is super optimistic. We believe in humanity. We believe that it is totally possible, and it's better to see the glass half full than half empty. And so I believe in these corporations, and I believe they can do it. It takes time for them. We should understand them, and they are in the good way. That's definitely the case. But the more offers there will be on the market, the higher the retention will be, and the higher actually the return of investment will be measured.
Thank you. Which also leads to, you know, what can individuals do? You were talking about offer versus demand. And if I understood well, that means that the individuals, us as consumers, can create the demand. And if we do create the demand, the offer will come. at some point, because the manufacturers will be forced to pivot and meet the customer or consumer demand, basically.
Definitely, I totally agree with you. It's this question of the individual place in the corporations leads to the fundamental of business. Why do we have access to all of these offers on the market? Who is responsible? Well, we are also responsible as consumers, because as a consumer, an average consumer, if he goes into a supermarket that has 3 different types of products, or goes into another supermarket which has 150 types of products, that same consumer will go to the 150 products because he has more choice. And choice as a human being is super important. You have the freedom of choice. And this is also something that is super important. Now, as an individual, what is happening today? It's the individuals who are pushing for sustainable actions, right? That is why actually a lot of companies are taking sustainability into consideration. Even Unilever is doing that now, because it's the demands of the consumers. Yes, we have a role. Our role is as big as corporations, and without us showing the corporations we want this, corporations will not follow, as you said.
Thank you. Yeah. So to the audience, please, I want to encourage you to state your questions and your comments. We'll try to get to them actually towards the end of this session. René, pour vous, quelles leçons tirer de la pandémie? Qu'est-ce que vous pensez? Comment les individus et les sociétés peuvent-elles être source de valeur dans ce contexte?
On a remarqué que c'était beaucoup des gens qui étaient indisciplinés, déjà. Il y a quand même tout un panel de personnes qui sont raisonnables, mais il y a quand même eu beaucoup de gens qui ont été indisciplinés. Si on a encore peut-être aujourd'hui dans ce cas-là, c'est que ça n'a pas marché. Ça, c'est une chose. Je pense que pour le futur, il faut peut-être avoir une autre réflexion. En tout cas, moi, j'ai eu cette réflexion, et je l'ai déjà dit tout à l'heure. C'est se contenter de moins, mais mieux. Et ça, c'est quelque chose qui doit rentrer dans la tête des gens. Pour moi, c'est hyper important. Parce que qu'est-ce qu'on a besoin d'avoir tout ce truc-là, tous ces magasins, toutes ces grandes surfaces? Alors, vous allez me dire, oui, il faut quand même nourrir toute la population. Nourrir qui? Quand on voit tout ce qu'on produit, on produit 4 fois trop de ce qu'on devrait avoir. Quand vous allez faire vos courses dans un grand magasin, dans une grande surface, n'importe où, ici à Luxembourg, le soir, à 8 heures du soir, les rayons sont encore pleins et ils vont fermer pour 2 jours. Expliquez-moi comment on peut faire ça. C'est pas possible. Le déchet, il faut déjà commencer par ça. Donc, je pense déjà qu'il faut déjà que les gens aient cette réflexion. Mais c'est ça comme le Covid. Il y a des gens qui vont être très conscients de ça et les autres qui vont pas faire attention. Donc, c'est très, très, très complexe. Mario, tu peux, comme ça je reprends après. Micro, Mario.
Micro.
Sorry for that. So yes, René says that a lot of people are indisciplined. They're not really woken up and they don't think about how to react to all of this. We need to, there's too much choice again, local, less, he's coming back to the same items as before. There is too much produce around us. There's too much choice. There's like, if he says you go into the supermarkets in the evening at 8 o'clock and you still have all the shelves are still fully packed. We're overproducing. We're killing it. Ok, René?
Oui, donc c'est ça qui est vraiment important. Et je pense que le Covid, oui, bien sûr, parce qu'on est dans une pandémie et que voilà, tout le monde, c'est assez effrayant, donc tout le monde fait attention. Je pense comme tout le reste, ce sera, une fois que ce sera passé, on aura oublié et on aura peut-être oublié ces bonnes résolutions. Mais je pense que chacun de nous doit réfléchir à se nourrir ou en tout cas à acheter différemment. Maintenant, je n'interdis à personne, tout le monde est libre de faire ce qu'il veut. Hein. Tout le monde on n'est pas là pour indiquer toi tu fais mal, toi tu fais mal. Et je trouve que voilà, il y a, en tout cas, je pense que moi j'ai une très grande confiance aux jeunes. à la jeunesse, parce que je pense que c'est eux qui vont faire changer cette façon de vivre. Je trouve que dans la nourriture, il y a beaucoup trop de business qui n'ont rien à y faire. Beaucoup de business, juste des lobbies pour ramasser de l'argent. Voilà. Je suis contre ça. Donc, c'est pour une des raisons pour lesquelles on se bat, d'avoir une cuisine qui correspond à un endroit, à un bien-être et à la santé. Voilà, Mario.
Okay, so I'm just going back to my notes. I don't know where I stopped before. Yeah, there's a lot of things we've forgotten, and I think René says that we all need to think this pandemic has moved us to think a bit. He's not giving advice. I mean, he's not pushing people to go in a certain direction. He says everybody will take out what it will for them. He also says that he probably says that most people after the pandemic will go back to their original way of life. But he's very confident that the youngsters today, they will make an impact. They will make the change needed. In the food, there is too much business involved. It shouldn't be like that. For example, all the lobbying, it's just money involved, and I mean all the things that shouldn't be there, because food is not money. Food is health. Food is local. Food is sustainability and nature. So I think from a personal point of view also, I think the pandemic has made an impact. There are good things in it and there's bad things in it. I believe that we have all made a conscious change already. I think I've seen it with different chefs. I've seen it with different people around me. Even the way the way we do business today is different. More home workers, for example, is something stupid, but it's not food related. But I think some possible things will come out of it. René also believes that, but we have to push through and make sure that all of this is kept going.
Thank you, Mario. Merci, René. Which begs the question, and I'm going to ask that to Ilana. Is there enough transparency on the consumer side as to how a pandemic like COVID are actually connected with our consumption? And if there isn't, what can every individual do to educate themselves? What can we do as, for instance, the Community Impact Challenge?
Oh, that's a super interesting question. So actually, yes, COVID has impacted the food industry. I think everybody recalls the toilet paper crisis that will be marked in our history books of 2020. I think it's wonderful to have this as a super history program, well, for the future generations. Well, this also leads to the fact that you can predict human behaviors, but actually COVID has created so much panic into consumption that consumers went crazy, right? You just the lessons learned from the pandemic, and we're currently in it, is again this mass consumption issue, right? One starts and then it goes to a mass problem of toilet paper, and it started on social media. And see the power of social media, super powerful. And this leads to a lot of families having no toilet paper at home, so it's not super convenient, right? So on that side, well, you have other issues currently that is happening in the US, for example. It's not a matter of food waste, it's a matter of getting access to the stocks. There is a problem now, food shortages in the US. This is unbelievable. For the country that wastes the most, now they have food shortages. Again, this is also due to our consumption behaviors and our reactions towards the pandemic. And how well did individuals and business lead into this environment? Well, as we can see, factual wise, not good. Countries are reconfining. There is a quarantine again. Us individuals are uncontrollable. Once we take out one of our freedom, we get crazy. People want to go out. There has been a lot of parties and private places increasing the COVID statistics. So one doesn't go without the other. We led terribly bad this pandemic. Our governments led it pretty well, and they did whatever they could to actually save health. And health is the criteria that everybody should look at. And we should not take this crisis on a second level, but probably be more conscious about what this pandemic is about and what are the impacts. And again, it leads to education. It leads to how well people are aware of the situation, how well people are aware that this disease is very, very strong, that it kills people, and it's not a joke. Now, the problem again is that we are in a world. Unfortunately, that was not the best expression, I might say. But information is accessible for everyone. But this also leads to disinformation. And what is the real information? So I hope it answered your question. But I think either individuals and businesses can lead better this environment. And it has a lot of room for improvements. And we are human, so mistakes happen, and we need to learn from our mistakes. If we don't learn from our mistakes, we will repeat history again and again and again, leading to the food waste issue. We are repeating history, as simple as it is. And if we don't change anything, it will continue like that, and it will not decrease.
Thank you. René, your leadership and commitment are an exception rather than the rule. Same for you, Ilana, of course. What has to change so that individuals and businesses become more committed and develop effectively sustainable food habits? René, votre engagement pour l'alimentation durable est remarquable. Selon vous, comment engager davantage de personnes et de sociétés sur cette voie?
C'est compliqué, sans être compliqué, c'est toujours la même chose, c'est qui veut changer, qui veut pas changer. Donc je pense que moi je pars, pas en essayant d'avoir le plus de monde avec moi, mais je veux montrer un exemple et nous on change. Donc si des gens veulent venir avec nous, ben, ils changent aussi. Et je dis, c'est très difficile de commencer à faire un groupe et puis grandir comme ça, non, parce que moi je pense que le changement doit venir de soi-même. C'est pas quelque chose qu'on doit imposer aux gens. Il faut que ça vienne de soi-même. Il faut avoir un moment donné de pouvoir une réflexion. Je disais tout à l'heure, moi le mot réflexion, c'est peut-être le mot qu'il faut garder aujourd'hui. Avoir une réflexion, comment se nourrir demain. Quelle est la réflexion là-dessus? Voilà, je pense. Mario?
The first thing I did was unmute my microphone this time, which was good. So René says that it's very complicated. It's very complicated to make this change and to keep it going. The question is always like, who wants to change and who doesn't want to change? We can show people and we can show and indicate how to change and how to make an effort. And we can try to have a lot of followers, but in the end, people think and it has to come from within. People need to think and people need to reflect on that subject and actually make a conscious decision how to eat and how to make a better future with this. Ok, René?
Oui, on a travaillé presque 10 ans là-dessus. C'est un travail de beaucoup d'années. Et voilà, aujourd'hui, oui, on arrive à pouvoir revendiquer ou pouvoir éduquer. Le mot éduquer, j'aime pas trop non plus, mais je pense qu'aujourd'hui, il faut qu'il y ait un système aujourd'hui déjà dans les écoles qui apprennent aux enfants déjà ce que c'est la consommation durable, qu'est-ce que c'est les saisons, qu'est-ce que c'est les fruits, qu'est-ce que c'est les légumes, qu'est-ce qu'on cultive ici, etc., etc. Je pense que si on ne commence pas par ça, on ne pourra jamais arriver à avancer. Parce que voilà, moi, Luxembourg est un pays où est très cosmopolite, c'est certain, je peux comprendre. Mais où je ne peux pas comprendre, c'est que les gens, ils doivent absolument avoir leurs produits qui viennent de l'Asie, qui viennent de partout du monde, ici à Luxembourg. Et finalement, on oublie quoi? On oublie qu'on a un pays où il y a aussi des producteurs, il y a aussi des gens qui font des belles choses. Et voilà, je ne suis pas contre qu'on importe, mais il faut déjà consommer ce qu'on a ici. Quand on voit, par exemple, si on parlait du Covid tout à l'heure, mais quand on voit ce printemps avec les cerises, on a ici au Luxembourg, on a consommé, je crois que c'est plus de 20 tonnes de cerises. Et on en a laissé 100 tonnes par terre qu'on n'a pas accueillies ici. Donc je trouve ça triste. Donc voilà, il y a des choses qui ne vont pas. Il faut travailler là-dessus, ce sera très long. Hein. Mais moi, je veux continuer dans cette voie, en tout cas, et de pouvoir arriver peut-être avec l'agriculture, avec une agriculture un peu plus raisonnée, pouvoir faire d'autres choses aussi. Voilà, de renforcer justement le lien local avec les producteurs. Voilà, Mario, je te laisse traduire. Après, je peux plus.
Okay. So we've been working for 10 years on all of this, and it's only now that we see to start some change. It's a very difficult, and it's a very you have very little impact on all of this. Yeah, because you know who wants to change and not. So we start to see some change now, and René thinks also that we need to even teach all of this in school. We need to include to the kids what is sustainability, what products do we have locally here, what can we do with them. Even though Luxembourg is a cosmopolitan little grand duchy, little country, we all have our origins, and people want to have their produce from wherever they came from, which can be around the world. We're not against having produce from around the world here, but what we also need to do is to look what we have locally here. We can't forget what we have locally, and the example he gave with the cherries was that we imported a lot of cherries from around Europe or maybe further, but we wasted a lot of the local cherries here. So we have to see what we have locally. The work we've been doing is that we've been trying to match actually the agriculture with the producer and the consumers, and that is actually one of the biggest things we've been working on before, is to see, and we're working in the future also, to have local producers bringing food and produce to people that live here. Ok, René?
Ok, c'est parfait. C'est bon, Ebru?
Oui, merci beaucoup.
Je vais devoir te laisser, je dois vous laisser.
Merci René.
Désolé.
Merci. Non, pas du tout. Merci.
Au revoir Ilana, au revoir tout le monde. Plaisir. Ciao Mario.
Ciao René, salut.
Merci.
Ilana, I have a question based on what René just said. I was wondering, one of the things he mentioned is, you know, we should consume locally. That makes me wonder at the same time, you know, what are all the food growers doing, let's say in South America or in Africa or in Asia, who are depending, whose livelihood depends on our food consumption. If whole Europe, let's say, would drop imported foods and would just consume locally, what would that mean for them?
Okay, so we have to understand that each single country is not sufficient in food, right? You have countries that don't produce certain types of food. Do we produce rice in Luxembourg? I don't think so. There are certain food types that we actually unfortunately not produce. And yes, the world is dependent of each single country of this world on food productions. And we as consumers, by this consumption as well, as you said and underline, are making other people live with their own productions. I'm going to give an example that is probably striking, and that is why eating local food, yes, definitely. I don't have anything against that. When you take a kilos of potatoes in Luxembourg, Luxembourgish brand made in Luxembourg, you pay between 9 and 10 euros the kilo. The same kilo of potatoes produced in the Greater region in Belgium cost €1, between 1 and 2 euros. Who is capable to buy these €9, 10 euros kilos of potatoes? I am sorry, but again, you have a problem of financials. You cannot ask someone that earns €2,000 per month to buy and eat local whilst they have their rent to pay, the car to pay, and all the side jobs to pay. Why are low-cost supermarkets gaining market share? The same reason. People have less and less money. And we also have positive things of globalization. That is actually, we as consumers make other people, the life of other people better, because thanks to our consumption, they live. And this is something that, again, globalization is very particular. It is very difficult. And sorry again, but Luxembourg is not autosufficient. So if Luxembourg should produce for the entire country, believe me, people will starve to death. So at a certain extent, we should also take that into consideration. And I would push for local food. Definitely, people should eat local. Yes, definitely. But the price should probably reduce, or we should increase the salaries of people in order for them to be capable to eat local food. It has a price, and the price is expensive. The price is super expensive. And it's expensive per country regarding the means of each citizen per country. You cannot ask someone that earns €700 per month to eat local in Luxembourg. Like, even though it is the best solution, we have to eat local, but who is capable to eat local? That is the real question. Do we produce enough? That is also the real question. And no, we don't. If supermarkets were not here, there would be a lot of line of products that would not be available on Earth. Supermarkets also have their line of production. We should not forget about that. What is the percentage of local food, and what is the percentage of industrial food present on the planet? That is also a good question to ask, right? So there is this demand to eat local. Yes, and as Chef René Mathieu said and Mario translated, between willing and doing, there is a lot of differences. And you cannot actually ask everybody to eat local if production is not sufficient and if the prices are too expensive. We are used to pay less. We are used to that. People will look for the better deal, even though if you have plenty of money or not enough money, the price attraction is still there. Why are prices at €9.99 and not €10? This is simply the psychological effect. So again, there are more incentives to just eating local, even though I would do that and I push everybody to do so. And we're working with supermarkets, right? We're still pushing people to eat local food. And we are still pushing also people to go to supermarkets because certain products are not available in this country and certain products that are necessary to eat healthy. Because the first step of the Maslow pyramid is physiological needs, right? And this goes via food. If someone eats not well, that person is not happy, and for the development of that single person is going to be difficult. So whatever. I'm really getting emotional with these types of questions because it leads to people, it leads to humanity. We are humans. We need to survive. This crisis killed people, and yes, I'm sorry for my emotions. But yeah, that was my long answer.
No, it's great. We can see how passionate you are, and for no other reason, you're probably working in the field that you're working in or have established your company. And another point that is also true is, everyone associates local food with sustainable food. So the question is that true? That's the first question. The second question is, if we would all wanted to eat sustainable, is that even possible to feed so many people on Earth to eat sustainable? I don't think so. I don't think we have the capacities to feed everyone in a sustainable manner.
Yeah, no, yes, totally. It's do we have the capacities? Yes, we do have all the industries there that could change to more sustainable habits. We have them, but now are we capable to do so? No. Do we overproduce? Yes. Is there enough sustainable products locally present? No. And again, what is sustainable? Is organic sustainable? That's a good question. How can you explain that you have fields of non-organic products next to organic products? It's like the Chernobyl story, huh? It never crossed the border of France. Well, it's exactly the same. At a certain extent, we need to understand what a label is. And we really need to understand what local is, and local food cannot be organic and still be super sustainable. So there is a lot of misinformation, a lot of too much information on the market. And again, what is true, what is not?
Right.
Good question.
And this is exactly what we're trying to address with the Sustainable Food Habits Challenge, to create this awareness, to distribute knowledge, to understand how to read the labels of the food that we're consuming. So if you haven't registered yet, please do so, because the least you can take out of this challenge is really to learn about the food that you consume, to get access to all the webinars, to get access to the hints and tips that our knowledge factory is putting together for you. So please do that. I would like to now see if we have a couple of questions that René had to leave us, unfortunately, because of health reasons, but we still have Ilana here for approximately 20 minutes. So if there are any questions, Gigi, if you would like to maybe state those so Ilana can answer them.
Yep. Thanks, Ilana. It's been extremely, extremely insightful what you're saying, and seeing you get all emotional actually means that this is very important, really, to all of us. And there were some questions directed to René, and for those of you who have written those down, we will try to get those to him, and then we'll try to get the answers for you. Maria asked, companies are important, but how can we ensure that each individual sees it as their responsibility and not wait for organizations and governments to act? I think, Ilana, you had actually talked about that a little bit. So maybe if you want to elaborate on that a bit more.
Definitely. Well, as individuals, we are responsible for what we're doing in life, right? We will not ask someone else to walk in our shoes and pay our bills. So it's exactly the same thing for sustainability and sustainable manners. If we don't do it, who does it for us? No one. So at a certain extent, yes, individuals, we are the leaders in that, as well as corporations, because one thing doesn't go without the other. If we are asking for pink shoes, there will be more pink shoes on the market. If we're asking for more carrots, there will be more carrots on the market whatsoever. So yes, we are the leaders of the change, and our generations, the millennials and the Z generations, are actually showing this way of sustainability. And just to get back to what René and Mathieu said, yes, the youth are the leaders of the change. Yeah, definitely. And this is how everything started. But it needs to be backed up also by older generations who are actually marked by overconsumption. And the thing is, we cannot blame them, because they were born in this generation and they were used to it. It's their comfort zone, as our comfort zone is different. But now we need to step out of our comfort zone and put the sustainability habits into our daily habits. If we don't do so, it's going to be difficult. But the question is, who wants to get out of the comfort zone? But as an individual, you are responsible for the change, and you are leading the change. And I think that FRA is also there to lead the change. Otherwise, we wouldn't have known a success like that, and we would not scale up our activities like this as well. And we also have a big, huge role in education to play. And this is how we also convey the message, with education. And today you still have a lot of inequalities in the world. So it is difficult to have the same sustainable movements everywhere if on the ground the roots of the human existence, there's still a lot of inequality. So everybody needs to do with their own means and try to find a better sustainable way of consumption. And this is how actually individuals will be and are the leaders of the change, and as well as corporations. Individuals and corporations are exactly the same on that level.
Thank you. Actually, this follow-up question from Maria fits in perfectly with what you're saying right now. So she's asking, is it really possible to resolve the climate crisis with the same patterns that had actually caused it? Like us always having so much choice in the supermarkets, because you were talking about the demand, you know, the choice and that, and the overemphasis on profit and growth motive. Is that possible? Can we even try to use that to stop it?
Of course we can. The thing is, we need to look at innovation as different levels of innovation. In that case, we're not asking for radical innovation, right? We're asking for incremental innovation. And incremental innovation is processes that exist, but that actually better. And this is why I say, yes, it is possible. And it is possible to solve and resolve the climate crisis. Well, we actually need to hurry up, definitely, but it is possible to do so. And having so much choice within supermarkets, again, who is asking that? We as consumers. If we as consumers were asking for less, there would be less choice in supermarkets. We should not forget about that fact. And the emphasis on profit, well, actually, you can be a sustainable company and make profits. Again, we are in a capitalistic world. So everything is around money. And instead of putting a bad image on that, we can better the image and just show the lead that we can have sustainable business activities and generate profit. And this will convince all the leaders that are still not convinced yet that sustainability can lead to profits. And so, yes, I think it is possible. And again, I'm a super optimistic person. So I would always say yes, and I would actually strengthen the fact that to each problem you have a solution. If there is no solution to a problem, it's a fact. So better get rid of the fact.
Sorry. Thank you. And moving on to something slightly different but related about the role of governments and corporations, and really the role of taxation as well. So when it comes to the economics of it all. Before Paolo had to leave the meeting, he was saying that he read that the plant-based is growing quite quickly. For example, the European plant-based protein is forecasted to grow to 2.4 billion euros by 2025, from 1.5 in 2018. So is this fast enough? You know, how ambitious should we be in changing? How fast do we need to be changing our food habits?
Well, now just leading a plant-based protein forecast to, is it enough? I don't think that we can relate the number of growth to is it enough on the ambition to change our food habits, because you cannot force someone that likes meat to eat vegan. What you can do is actually say to that person who likes meat to reduce the consumption of meat and eat better and quality food, right? This is something that we can do. We should not force people to do something that they don't like to. What they can do is better their own habits, because otherwise they would be frustrated. And frustration is not also a good reaction. Actually, again, toilet paper crisis, everybody was frustrated, running to the toilet paper. So again, you know, this is not super, well, I would say, the best solution to impose something that consumers would not like to. Now, how ambition and how fast would we need to change the food habits? Actually, I would say since a year ago. So the thing is, like, we should faster definitely the food habits. That's definitely the case. But again, it relates to education, and it relates to who has this accessibility of information. Does everybody have the same equal treatment? No. you have a lot of people in the world that don't even have access to education, and we are in 2020. We should not forget about that. So again, it's a challenge. It's not impossible, and it's mission possible. But the thing is, yes, we need to accelerate, and we need to help our other countries. We are citizens of the world. We have no borders, right? We are all humans. We are all sisters and brothers in the entire world. So we should all help each other. But we should also understand that we are not at the same level of development, and that this is also impacting our food habits and how we are evolving and changing in the world. So we need to go faster, yes, but we also need to take this into consideration, and that unfortunately equality still is still not present in the world. So let's do everything that is possible at our end, to change the food habits and give accessibility to everyone, to education, to proper food, to clothing, to housing, to water, just clear water. There is a lot of people in the world not having access to water, and water is getting scarce. So at a certain extent, we also need to understand that the climate threats are real. They are there, and it's even bigger than COVID. It's even bigger than recession. And if we don't do anything, well, sorry, but this is not very optimistic. We will all die, and the planet will die. So we should accelerate the changement of our food habits, but not force something that people would not like to do.
Okay, thank you. And on that, Joao is asking, regarding the ability of feeding the world's population, relying only on sustainable products, saying, considering that we're able to feed more than 60 billion farm animals, isn't the inability to feed 7.8 billion people more of an issue of the current industrial and economical system?
I totally understand your question, Joe, and it's a super pertinent remark, feedback, and question at the same time. I will cut your question again. I love doing that. I will cut your question into several parts. So we are able to feed more than 60 billion farm animals and unable to feed 7.8 billion people. Great. Are the animals eating the same as us? No. So that is the first answer to your question. So yes, it is easier to feed farm animals and less easy to feed 7.8 billion people in the world. Now I will also take another example. As I said, certain countries are dependent on the production on other countries. But the thing is, when you import or export a certain product to another country, you have the time for that food to go and actually land in the country. But there is a part of it that will automatically be rotten, not good, because the cold chain is not respected, or actually it happens during transportation. So now the inability to feed the 7.8 billion people relies to several factors, and not only industry and economical system. I should also say political system, because certain country in the world, sorry, the other meeting is ticking. 7.8 billion people in the world, if you take certain governments are blocking certain help in food. So this is also something that we should take into consideration. We are capable to feed the 7.8 billion of people in the world, since we are overproducing, and we are producing for 10 billion people in the world. So yes, we are capable. Now, not only the industry and not only the economical system are responsible for these people and for the starving people in the world that almost attain 1 billion people. It's around 800 million of people that are dying each year. So yes, politics are also blocking certain food help and in certain countries, and this also leads to inequalities of food accessibility. Sorry.
Thank you. Yes, we have a couple more questions, and we should have enough time to field those. Francoise was asking, are the organizations that are promoting this sustainability or sustainable eating somehow aligned? Are there areas in which we, I guess, as a society, I'm reading from there, can hope for concerted actions leading to exponential change? So, when the change needs to be done yesterday or a year ago. Is there something specific that we can all focus on to make this go faster?
I think we should all look at our scale, what we are capable to do with the means we have. And if we all, if we are all doing something, it's like a mosquito, right? It's an African proverb. Have you ever been with a mosquito in the room and you can see actually the impact of a mosquito? It's actually the same, right? So a small little tiny insect can have huge impact. So we as citizens could do small things that would change our habits in order to lead to a bigger impact. So if we all do that, then it will lead to a bigger impact. And that is the issue. Again, people are not willing to do and to change, because there is a difference by saying I want and acting that you are doing. So that is super, and that we should actually understand that what is going on and why it is happening. Now, what we can do at our level, there are many things we can do at our level. We have the opportunity, and we should be grateful to live in Europe and to live in Luxembourg with all the facilities we have. And we can definitely do a lot. We can eat local if we can manage it financially, definitely. What you can also do is go to the supermarket and check where the products come from. If it's very far, then yes, it has a bigger impact on the CO2, so you should better not eat that. What you could also do is buy close to expiry products and cook on a daily basis. Since anyways you are cooking on a daily basis, it doesn't mean that your food will expire today, that you cannot cook it today. So on that level, it will have an impact on the wallet, but also on the planet. So financial reasons and planet reasons align. So again, this would help a lot. Then I would say everybody has a freezer at home, right? So you can also freeze your products and put it in your freezer, and then take it out when you need to eat it. Of course, you also need to be very, very thorough on what you put in the freezer, how long you conserve them, because yes, it also has impacts on that level. So these are specific things you can do. You can buy in bulk instead of using packed products. You can actually use less electricity by using LED bulbs, for example. That is on the electricity side. On the clothing side, it's a nightmare. Fast fashion is a nightmare. But again, what is the price of a quote that is fast fashion, and what is the price of a local producer? Again, who is capable to buy these clothes? So that is again the same thing. But if you can buy local fashion, eat local, do whatsoever that is local, and try to walk a lot, don't take the car. So this is a paradox in Luxembourg. That's definitely the case, because everybody takes the car in Luxembourg, and public transport should be a little bit more developed still. So we have a lot of improvements to do, but Luxembourg managed to do a lot of improvements with the tram. So we should actually use the bicycles, also the vélo. We should use them more. I see a lot of stations that are full of vélo. Nobody takes a vélo. Everybody takes the car. So these are small habits that you can put in practice at your own level. It doesn't cost a lot, or if you eat local, yes, definitely, but you have the means. So you can do everything that is necessary that you can do, and not think that you will buy solar panels and you don't have the means to. So you should look at what you are capable to do and act on that level, and then you can change your habits easier.
Yeah, thanks very much. Actually, you in there are two things. So one, you actually answered the last question, but which is Paul's asking, what are 3 very specific pieces of advice you would give that would improve our sustainable food habits? So we got that from your answer before, and I just wanted to point out that that's kind of the slogan of our community impact challenge, is that individual actions leading to collective power. So what you were saying about each person individually doing this will lead to the changing the world to a better place. And just to remind everyone that I will post the link again. So if you'd like to please join the challenge, it's ongoing at the moment. And check out our brand new website that looks amazing. And that's it. That's all the questions that were there. Back to you, Ebru.
No, thank you. It was really, really, really insightful. It was fun as well. Thanks for your insights and your contribution. I have taken a lot of notes, and we could go on for another hour. Based on what you said, I could just, you know, is it really? I mean, from a financial perspective, we know that companies who are sustainable and who are even a B Corp certified actually are better ranked from the people like the Moody's, you know, or Standard & Poor, and based on that higher ranking, they get better credits, you know, better credit rates. So from a corporate financial perspective, it does make sense as well for them to be sustainable and to go the sustainable path. From an individual perspective, you mentioned fast fashion. Quite frankly, I'm also against quite fast fashion, because I think I have figured out for myself that actually fast fashion isn't very cheap. You know, if you sum up how much you have to buy in, let's say, 5 years time period, if you buy fast fashion versus if you buy quality, and how long you can wear the quality, you know. So I'm not sure if fast fashion comes down to spending less money on clothing. So yeah, but you know, really great insights. Unfortunately, René had to leave us, but we'll send him a kind note as well later on. Thank you all for joining. I'll give the last word to our president from the NAA Luxembourg, and I wish you all a very nice evening.
So I'll be very short on this one. So thanks a lot, Ebru. Thanks a lot, Gigi, for the kind moderation, for managing the questions on the chat. A big thank you to you, Ilana. Really, really happy that we had you on this panel. Now, a bit of explanation for a bit of an abrupt dropout of René. René let us know that he and his team are struggling with the virus as well. So we were really, really happy to have him and have him not drop out all over. But we aligned with him that he could actually drop out if he doesn't feel well. So we were really, really lucky to have him for an hour at least. So that just as a bit of an explanation for the abrupt stop of that. We're still hoping, we have an event planned with him. We're crossing all our fingers to make that event happen. Stay tuned for that. Should that not happen in November, there's another really nice event coming up for December. So please follow your emails. We'll keep you posted on that. So thanks again for all of you for coming tonight, for staying with us throughout the entire event. And that was it. Hope to see you very soon.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Ciao.